is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brad and I are continuing our top 100 games of all time. We are now in the top 50. This segment is going to be 50 through 41, and I cannot wait because we got some hot bangers for this segment. And this is going to be a real doozy for me because I have 3 new ones on this list.
I have 2.
2, all right. Yeah, so once again, I mean, I don't like. It's funny. I can imagine just people being like, how do you get brand new games this high on a list?" And it's like, it's because they're really fucking good. That's the long and short of it. So I will get started. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I don't really have a lead up into this. So my number 50, just squeaking in, is a fantastic light game that actually just has now 2 expansions to make the game a little bit more complex. Last year it was 63, so it has gone up a decent amount, and that is Tiny Towns, a game that you still have not played. Have you? Wait, right?
I own it.
Tiny Towns is like a game that I blew me away whenever we first played it. Like, I remember people kind of talking about it, and I was like, oh, all right, I'll give it a shot. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing. The polyomino came without it being, actual polyominoes that you place. So this is a game where you are trying to build build buildings out of resources, and each resource or each building has a construction that is a certain type of resource. So like the chapel could be 2 brown, a coal, and a glass, but it's in this particular shape. Well, so you're trying to place those resources on your 4x4 grid, and then once you get those resources in that shape, you take them all off and you place the building in one of those spots that house one of the resources. What makes this game difficult is it's a spatial awareness game. You have, each square can only hold 1 resource, so you're trying to be as efficient as possible with placing these resources and placing the buildings, because once you have no more legal spots to place, then you're done. What makes the game difficult is that each person on their turn will call 1 resource, and everyone has to place that resource. So if we're playing with 4 people, and I say I want coal, I want clay, then everyone has to place a clay somewhere. And there's I think 8 total buildings out, and each of them do something radically different, except the one. There's always the cottage, and that's 3 points if you feed it, but there's another building that does it feeds cottages a different way. Everyone also has their own special building that they can try and go for that either will be in-game victory points or some, busted ability throughout the game. This game is so good. I really enjoy how this plays. The 2 expansions, Fortune and Villagers, also add way the game, but also doesn't overbloat it. It adds 1 idea. Oh, hey, Fortunes adds money. Okay, well, money allows you to kind of mitigate, what people are calling, and then or some buildings require you to have money and will give you points in a different way. And then Villagers adds villagers that there's 2 cards out that have a special ability, and you can utilize the villagers to use them. It's so good. It's so good. And the other good thing about this game is it is a very fun solo game. So there you go, Brad. There's your incentive to play it.
It plays solo?
It does, yeah, 1 to 6.
Well, shit, I didn't know that. I would have played it by now if that was the case.
Yeah, it's actually really fun too. There's I think it's kind of like you play by yourself. You build your own thing, and there's a deck of resource cards that you just draw from, and then that's kind of how you have to. Those are the resources that you have to place.
Interesting.
But it's solid. It plays like you're playing your own game of Tiny Towns.
Does it do it solo well with the other expansions and all that stuff too?
I would imagine. I haven't tried them with the other expansions, but Uh, but I mean, I don't know. It might say it in the rule books for
Right.
those. But yeah,
Interesting.
that's my number 50, Tiny Towns.
All right. My number 50 was 42 years ago.
Okay.
Was 49 last year, so it just dropped one spot, still in the top 50, and that is Isle of Skye.
Good
I
one.
talked about Carcassonne a couple of segments ago, and how this was the next step up, really. And this one is really cool because um, you're buying tiles, because they get laid out. You get tiles laid out, and then you have your money and you have a shield, and you are going to be putting money behind your shield, uh, also behind the tiles that are out there, so that you it's just a unique deal because you'll have an axe as well, which will get rid of one of the tiles, but you want to put the money down that you're willing to pay, but you also need to know what other people are kind of looking for, because you get the chance to buy other people's stuff as well, but then they have to pay you whatever money you put back there as well. So if you can really find a tile, somebody's collecting sheep and you have a sheep tile that's loaded with sheep, you could put a ton of money behind it and somebody may buy it. But if they don't buy it, then you have to pay that money for it. So it's a really unique, I guess, auction. I don't know. It's the money aspect of this game is really cool. The tiles, the tiles are similar to like the Carcassonne tiles, but there are more limitations on these tiles where there's a lot more, like mountains have to be against mountains and stuff like that. There's all these little symbols and stuff on the tiles that'll allow you to get more money upkeep or stuff. The other unique thing with this game is how you score at the end of each round. There's a stack of these tiles that you'll get, and you'll lay them out like on the A, B, C, and D deals on this track. And like at the end of round one, I can't remember exactly. It's like A and B score, and then round two, it's like B and D score. It's like, so you can kind of look ahead and kind of see how things are going to score, and it just, that way it's not just stale. Like you have a whole stack of these, and I don't even have the expansions for this yet, so I'm assuming it's going to add more tiles and more stuff to it.
Funny if I'm actually looking up what the expansions do right now.
Yeah, because there's the Journeyman, and then I can't remember what the other one was called.
Is it Druids?
Yeah, Druids. That's it. But anyway, so also with this game, because money is really tight, and it has a catch-up mechanic. So like, if you're behind, if you're in second place, you're going to gain, I think it's like 1 gold, because you gain a gold for every person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
So if you're playing a 4-player game and you're in last place, you're going to get 3 gold for free just to start off the deal. And I just like it because you do a resource collection phase at the beginning where you get a bunch of gold for all your tiles that have gold and all this stuff, and then you just go through and it's fun building your area and stuff. And it's just a good quality step up from Carcassonne. I mean, it's not a difficult game, but it's kind of a next step game as far as that goes.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't own this game. Like it's really good. So I guess I just suck. I don't know.
Well, yeah, that's obvious, but
yeah, this game is fantastic. And you know what's surprising is this is like it's weirdly short. Like I remember I actually played this game a couple weeks ago, and we played with max players. I think 5 was the max. And by the end of the first round, because you really you set your price. Everyone starts with the same amount of money, so you can't really like try too hard with trying to set the bidding. But yeah, then on your turn you just choose one of the available things to buy, and then you do that, and then you place it, and then it's like, Is that it? Is that like you're flipping through the rule book and we're like, is that there must be more? Nope. The game, it's one of those games that it starts off quicker and then gets a little bit longer towards the end because you have a bunch,
Right.
hopefully you have a bunch more money to then kind of be able to be like, all right, I'm going to put a lot of money on this tile because I actually really want it. I don't want people to pay for it. So you'll eventually start placing two tiles. I mean, you'll always, I guess, always place two tiles, but you can manipulate a little bit more because people are starting to strategize. Like you mentioned, oh, hey, I want a bunch of sheep or I want a bunch of mountains because that's about to score. And you have one that has all mountains. And you're like, all right, 40 gold on that. And
It's just very delicate because people can call your bluff, and then you end up paying a fortune for something that you really don't need. It's like
yeah,
there's such a balance of, because money is tight. Like
yeah,
it's not like you have a overabundance of cash. It's a tight money game, and I don't know. That's what's intriguing about it. It's just
yeah,
it's a fun. Uh, it's just a fun one.
yeah. I agree. This would be on my list if I had owned it and remembered. So, so yeah, good choice. All right, off to a great start. My number 49 actually went up. It was 50 last year, so in the reverse of this one, went up
Yes.
by one. And in 2018 it was 45. This one might actually be up because I think by the time I made this list we had played it and we played a 6-player game of it, and man, it holds up every single time. I did not win, but it's still a fantastically you know decent length game even with 6 people, and that is
Oh
Seven
yeah.
Wonders. Yeah, this is the only game I can think of off the top of my head that the more players you have, the same amount of time the game takes.
Exactly.
Besides, bar from scoring, because everyone has to start scoring at the end. Um, but man, this game is just so good. Came out what, 2012?
I think so. Yeah.
So a 9-year-old game, but it holds up in terms of the card drafting. If you don't know, Seven Wonders is a game where you are building one of the wonders. You have a board in front of you that has different segments of ways that you can actually build it, but that's only a part of something you can do. It's a civilization game, and you are drafting cards. So you have a hand of cards that if it's green, it's science. If it's yellow, it's market. If it's brown, it's resources. And then blue, I think, is faith or development or whatever blues.
It's like monuments and
Culture, is it culture?
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. So tons of different ways to score points, but you pick one of those cards and then you pass it, and then everyone reveals what that card is. Oh, and red's military. And so you're trying to just build a civilization, and you get a bunch of points if you have different icons for science. Then you have a military might that you compare to your neighbors, your left and right neighbors, and then you get a bunch of points if you beat both of them, or you can have negative points if you lose in military. And then, of course, resources are great to have because this game, it's like to build a card, like to place it down, you have to have the resources for it. And the resources are just static. Hey, you have these, which is great. I'm so glad that this wasn't a game that you actually had to physically. God, it'd be horrible. But the other cool thing about this game is that the neighbors to your left and right actually everyone has a static resource, but you can also pay them money to use their resources, and that doesn't take anything away from them. You just give them money. You're like, hey, here's a coin, or 2 coins, let me use your clay because I don't have it, and I'm going to build this. The other good thing is that some cards, if you build correctly, make other cards free in later eras, because there's 3 eras. So it'll actually say on the card, hey, by the way, this will make this chapel will make the church free. And so if you draft that, it's just like, oh, great. But it's just extremely solid. It's been solid ever since I've played it. I don't think this game will ever fall off the list. I can't imagine why. the expansions. The only one I don't really care for is Babel, but I think that's also because I haven't played it as much as the others. Cities and leaders. Cities add really unique guild cards, and leaders add basically a pre-setup where you draft leader cards that give you special abilities as the game goes on. And then the Armada expansion is extremely solid as well, where you have your own board and you're trying to move up these different tracks, these different columns, to gain different resources. And it adds sea battle or sea combat. So that actually, because I feel like military isn't really worth it, because you don't gain quite as much points as people lose, so it's like I feel like that if you're going to go a pure military route, it's probably not going to pay off, because you're you ever beat people to your left and right. So in the first area you get 1 point for each person you beat. Second area you get 3, and then third area you get 5. So you'll get a total of 18 points if my math is correct. Because it's 5-5, 3-3, and then 1-1. And then they'll only ever have a max of each person will only have a -1, so a total of -6 points.
Yeah.
So unless if they lose to their other person, but yeah, -6 total, and it's I
never build military.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not worth it. But if with the Armada expansion with going sea combat, well, then that doubles your amount of points and doubles their negative points. So it does make it a little bit more worthwhile there. But they just released a second edition, I think. Basically, it's a prettier version. If you own the game, there's no reason to get it.
They just fudged some of the wonders around, like some of the things to complete wonders. They kind of, because some of the wonders were easier to complete and more powerful than others, so they kind of leveled it all out a little bit.
And some actually just suck. Like Stonehenge sucks as a wonder. So I guess I will probably get it just because they also cleaned up the organization of the game. Because whenever you lay your cards out above it, it's just like they're built in a way to go diagonal, and I think with this one they're just a little bit cleaner. So and it's just prettier art. So I'm not in a rush to run out and go grab it, but I probably will at some point. I think all the expansions are also
they released everything all out at once for second edition.
Yeah, so it's all there if you want it. So if you are like, oh man, I'll give this game a shot, don't get this one, just get the new one. Like, it's the same game. It wasn't like a Kingsburg thing where they made the game uglier and not as cool. So this is definitely gonna be higher on your list. So that is my number 49, Seven Wonders.
You don't know my list.
I know your list, at least for this one.
Yeah. All right. So my number 49 has been on my list forever. It was 53 2 years ago. It was 62 last year, and it fell back down just because it's gotten played a little bit more. And that is Love Letter.
I was like, it didn't move. There we go.
This one is just one of those classics, especially with the family. It was kind of the granddaddy of the micro games. It's 16 cards is all this game is. And pretty much what you do is you shuffle up the 16 cards, you set one card out face down so nobody knows what card is not in that deck, and then each player will get a card dealt to them. And then when it's your turn, you draw a card, and then you play a card. And that's all you do on your turn. And the goal is to be the last person with a card. There's different ways of getting knocked out. If somebody, like, there's guard cards. If you when you play a guard card, you get to guess a card. If you guess, if I'm guessing Seth's card and say Prince, and he has the Prince, he discards, he's out for that round.
And throw a huge fit. Like an embarrassing tantrum.
But it's super, super simple. But pretty much how you win is like in a 4-player game. I think you have to get like 3 hearts, and then you would have to win 3 rounds, and then game's over. Super fast game. I've owned multiple copies because of cards getting worn out and stuff. there's all kinds of versions of it. I used to have the Hobbit one. There's a Batman one that's out of print now that a lot of people look for. There's fancy versions of them, like the Cthulhu, the Lovecraft one. There's a fancy version of this one even that has tarot-sized cards and stuff, which I'll probably get at some point. But right now,
Yeah.
I mean, these small box versions are fine. And that's really about it. It's just super fast, super simple. It's just a good, fun game just to toss on the table if you have 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this game is a fantastic filler game. I don't own this one anymore because I have replaced it with the Lovecraft,
Right.
which does the same thing, but it makes it a little bit more complex. But Lovecraft Letter ended up being 164. Yeah, 164 on my list.
Right.
So it's still own it, and this game is still really good, but there's no way it'd beat out any of my 100. But still, great game. I do like it.
Yes, so that's my 49.
Neat. My 48, I can't remember if you've mentioned this. I don't think you have yet. It was 42 last year and 26 in 2018. This one will, I don't know where this one's going to sit, because this one's just, it's a fantastic game. But yeah, I couldn't give you a solid reason on why it's 48. So, besides other games are great, and that is Roleplayer. Roleplayer is a dice drafting game where you are creating your D&D character. We've definitely talked about it tons in the past, but you are doing that to a T. You with setup, you pick a race, you draft or draw a background character, a backstory and alignment, and then kind of the class of what the character is, and each of them have like a set of conditions that you want to complete to maximize the most points. So it's like, oh, if you're playing a hermit, that's your backstory. Well, he wants certain colored dice in certain slots of your attributes, and then your class wants your attributes to be a certain number. Like some of them are, hey, this needs to be exactly 14. Or this one your wisdom needs to be higher than 11. And as the game goes on, there's initiative cards that certain number of dice get rolled and then placed on these initiatives. So it's like the lower die will go on the number one, and the higher die will go on later ones. So it's like you have to balance. Okay, because initiative is going to dictate what you get to buy first in the market. You're buying items and feats and skills, and that will give you special abilities or end game points if you have a certain set. Like if you have an armor set, you'll get a bunch of points that way. It does the D&D theme so well, and probably better than actual Dungeons and Dragons board games. This game does it better. And then of course the expansions are just top notch. Where the first one that came out, which was the one that the game absolutely needed, was the Monsters and Minions, where you fight minions. Instead of going to the market, you can just go fight one of the minions, which will give you points and also let you know certain weaknesses of the monster that everyone's going to have to fight at the end of the game. And then the Fiends and Familiars just gives you a familiar, which has its own set of dice that you want to put in and a special ability. And then fiends that are basically, they go on initiative cards and can kind of fuck you over if you have them. So it's so good. If you like D&D and you like dice drafting, go ahead and grab this one, because it's great. Get the expansions as well. I would say
especially with Adventures coming out this year.
Oh yeah, and Adventures is another standalone expansion that is, you take your character that you've built in Roleplayer and you get to go on legitimate choice-based adventures, which is just mind-boggling to me. So I cannot wait. But yeah, if you go out and get this game, if you do, I would say the Monsters and Minions is essential. like you pretty much should get that. The Fiends and Familiars is great because it just adds more to the game, but is not as essential as the monsters and minions. So
Right.
that is my 48 Roleplayer.
All right. Well, my number 48 is one of my new ones to the top 100. You have said it before. It was kind of a surprise for both of us this year. CGE's shining star this year.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yeah, this one was my 68.
Yes.
So, wow, 20 spaces higher than me. Nice.
Yeah, I love this game. Like, there's just so much about this game to like. With even though it's only 5 rounds and you only have 2 workers, and the deck building, like the stuff you buy, you may not see a ton like a normal deck building game. You know, it may not pop up into your hand a whole lot because of the limited rounds.
Yeah.
It's still, I mean, whether you're going out and exploring and doing stuff, or you're using your resources to go up on the research track and trying to locate the ruins, you know, and go that way. Combination of both. It's just an awesome deal, and the art's awesome. Except for Chris Pratt there on the cover. He kind of like a I just picture that being Chris Pratt. But
I kind of see it. Yeah.
But what's really cool, and I don't know if you've played the other side of the board yet.
I have not. Nope.
That's what's cool about this game is like you can play the regular side exclusively, or if you want to change it up, you flip it over, and the board on the other side is a completely different experience where there are these assistants that you can get on the first side of the board. You recruit these assistants that give you extra abilities and stuff as you go. Well, on the flip side, those assistants have been like captured, and you are going and saving them instead of hiring them, you know, and then they become cool. The whole board is set up differently, so the replayability just doubles because of that. And the only thing really, like, when I say the replayability of this game is high, there are limited numbers of tiles that are going to come out and guardians. So I hope they plan on putting out more. I mean, because that's really all they would need, because they've already got 2 sides of a board. All they'd really need is just tile expansions. Just throw some extra tiles in. Or
I would say more cards as well.
Yeah.
Rado had mentioned, and I actually agree with him on this one, is that while the deck building is solid, worker placement, so I mean, obviously 68 for me, 48 for you, this game is amazing. The card play is a little simpler than some people might like. Like, literally a lot of them are get more exploration tokens. The artifacts do make it. I mean, I think that's where the complexity of the deck building, or not deck building, the card play is. But I think that they could really go a little heavier with some of the decisions, some of the cool card combinations. So that's what I'd like from them.
Well, yeah,
I need a new board. I don't need any of that. I think more tiles, like you said, and more cards.
Yeah, just having the double-sided board is it doubles all your gameplay. I mean, because different things are going to come out different ways, and there's different travel requirements and stuff like that, you know. So it's like, and that's the other thing with the cards being, you know, I'm always going to be a fan of dual purpose cards.
Oh yeah,
you know?
I agree.
So it's just, I don't know. It's, you know, this one came out of nowhere. I heard people talking about it on a podcast, talking it up, and then I just went and nabbed it immediatay, and it did not disappoint. So again, like we've said a few times on this list already, CGE, they just keep doing it well.
Yeah, they're killing it right now, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, and I think there's a few other games. Actually, funny enough, I just played Tyrants of the Underdark last night.
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
It does. I mean, anything like a combination of deck building plus something else, I think is going to be a huge genre that'll be coming out. It's not going to be just pure deck building or pure area control or pure worker placement. I think the idea of including deck building adds a lot of that uniqueness, replayability to something else. I mean, it complements one another.
Yeah. Well, and
I guess that. What?
I was just going to say I am jazzed for the new game that's supposed to come out this year, The Endless Winter.
Oh, did you look it up?
Yeah, I looked it up and watched it, and it has the art from that dude.
I hate that art.
I like that art from like the Raiders, the North Sea, and all that stuff. But
worst artist ever.
It is almost a more complex version of this, Arnak.
Yep, that's
because it's the deck building, worker placement. There's multi boards around and stuff. It looks like it's gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah. So because I remember that was mentioned on Rado's anticipated list, and I was like, oh, like I might be able to overlook this hideous artwork for great game mechanisms. So, all right, good choice. All right, my 7 was mentioned on your list. Either last segment or 2 segments ago. It was number 30 last year, but number 50 in 2018. So it went up from 2 years ago, and that is Chronicles of Crime. This one.
It was 65 for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so a couple segments back. This is a phenomenal mystery game. This is a genre that I will love every single time, almost no matter what. Like, I will buy every single Sherlock Holmes expansion that comes out. I will buy every iteration. Actually, really in the process of looking for a game called Witness, which is a similar idea, but I think it's like that telephone game, which actually probably with today's day and age, you probably don't want people whispering in your ears, like, get away from me. You have it, I don't want it. But that's like one of those ideas where you're trying to solve a mystery and everyone has a piece of information to the puzzle. That one just sounds like a fun party game. And then the other one that man, every time it has that pulp
noir. Are you talking about the noir stuff?
No, not for this. It's just another type of mystery game. But I always Deadline, I think is what it is.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Chronicles of Crime just does it takes all those games and it makes it absolutely unique. It makes it extremely innovative with its app. Like, every card has a QR code on it, and when you go to a location, it tells you, oh, okay, some people, you scan the location, and that's where you're at now. And then it's like, oh, you see these different people, and then you can go talk to them, and they all have a personality based off, the scene, like the scenario that you've picked. And then you can go talk to them, and then you can scan items and be like, okay, hey, by the way, what do you know? I mean, you can scan items or people. Hey, what do you know about the victim? Oh, I didn't really know her. And then, like, you can find something else out later at a different location. Oh, by the way, they were dating, and then you can come back and be like, hey, now what do you know about it, you fucking liar? And then it prompts legitimate interaction versus some of the static, books that it's like, okay, well, he says he didn't know her. Well, I guess we read later that he did, so I guess he was lying, and you have to kind of go on your own assumption. Where this one has a more thematic, like, hey, you can go back and actually do some investigation. The other gimmick is the VR, the fact that you have a little clip that when you search some locations, you can actually like look at it, put your, and then search around, which is a lot of fun. But when you're trying to play this game sitting down, you're all like weirdly moving. Yeah. I can't turn around and look down at the same time. So, which you don't have to play with VR. In fact, sometimes it's just a little bit better and easier to just, look from your phone or just kind of get whatever you need to do. But it's still really cool. It works really well whenever you are doing the VR stuff, but it's great. It's great. I mean, you had talked about their app, how they can just release, crimes and scenarios, which they have. So it's all there. Excited for more of the 1400, the 1900, and the 2100. So, yeah, I mean, Chronicles of Crime is fantastic. So that's my number 47.
All right. My number 47 has been on my list the last few times. It was 60 2 years ago. It was 45 last year, 47 this year. And that is Rajas of the Ganges.
Rajas of the Ganges. I have not played this one.
You need to. You need to add that to your list.
Okay.
Because this
My
one,
top 100, yeah, I'll see where it falls.
excuse me. So anyway, on this game, it's kind of a worker placement's the main thing. You're also going to have these really beautiful dice, translucent dice and stuff that you'll have. But it's with your worker placement. The idea of the game is, and I don't know if there's any other games that do this or not, but you have two scoring tracks. You have a wealth track and you have a fame track. And you are taking actions to obviously get points on both of those tracks. But the first person that can get both of those tracks to overlap, because they both go the separate ways, then that's how you win.
Oh, interesting.
So like you can choose to go 90% money and just a little bit of fame and be meeting way over here on the side, or you can just do 50-50 of each and try to meet in the middle or whatever. But that is how you win the game, is by overlapping your wealth and fame. So that's where the race comes in. It's not, technically a racing game other than just by the scoring tracks, but you are, the art on the board is just awesome. You've got your little, whatever you're going to call that, god that's on the cover holding the dice.
I don't remember.
But anyway, you have a little one of those sitting there and you place dice in her hands in front of you and stuff too. So it's kind of a neat little a placeholder and stuff, but it's just one of those games I got because I'd seen pictures of it on the table.
Kali is what that god's name.
But the starting player token is like this big elephant, like a Indian
I saw that.
and all that stuff. And
I'm looking at some of the pictures.
Yeah, so it's just there's also tile
pretty.
laying. You'll also lay some tile. There's a tile laying aspect as well and everything. It's just kind of one of those games that you just kind of, when you start playing it, you just kind of, I don't know, this sounds weird, but you kind of melt into it. It's just like it just kind of comes to you once you sit down and you see what the mechanics, how they work. It just kind of flows, and you and then it's just one of those things where you just, the scoring track, I think, is the unique part of this, that's the deal. And the designers of this, they're a married couple. The brands, they've done other stuff as well, and I'm not exactly sure what, but this was their first one, I believe. And they've kind of went from there, but this is just they've come out with, I think, just recently.
Oh, they do the exit games.
Oh, okay.
And they did a game called Village.
Oh yeah, they did the Village game. So Village actually would have come before this.
Yeah. This was 2017.
Yeah.
Village is a really good worker placement
I have
game.
it at home, or here too. Home. Here.
You're like, I'm not at home. You're in some guy's house.
But they also just came out recently with a dice game version of this. And I like dice game versions, but I just don't think it would be almost like Istanbul. There's a dice game version of it, but this game, just because this one's so awesome on the table,
nice.
I think this one would be.
Yeah, I'll need to check this game out. I remember you talking about it, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I'll get it eventually, and then I never do. So I mean, I'm seeing that it also has like expansions for it. Are they?
They're like little expansions. They're like, I don't own any of them, but they're like goodie expansions and stuff. I don't know if they're just like, I don't even know what they add, if it's just like little modular things or if it's just tiny little, tile expansions or what. I don't know much about those, but yeah, this is a really good one.
I was just curious because I'm seeing, there's like a goodie box.
There's 2 goodie boxes out right now, I think, but
It adds a mango village, a tiger, uh, Shalimar, aka Snake. Maybe some promos,
Yeah,
two
it's
new
probably
river
the promo book.
tiles. Okay, so just so base game is just fine.
Yeah, base game's awesome. I mean, I've not played anything but the base game, and
Cool.
I've probably played it 10, 15 times right now, and it still is awesome.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, that one looks great. All right, my number 46 is actually new to the list, which I thought I put on my list last year, but I could not find it. Yeah, I only have it once on my little sheet here. So yeah, brand new to the list. You can go ahead and move on, and that is On Mars. On Mars is a phenomenal Vita Lasarda game. Like this one. This one just blows me away. One, the artwork is beautiful, and two, it's man, it is a heavy Euro. In my opinion, his heaviest that I have played, and I have played this one. I have played Gallerist, and I think Gallerist. Yep, and I have played Escape Plan. I now own Kanban, Lisboa, and Vinos, but I haven't played them yet. But yeah, this one's so good. Like basically, the game is split up into two halves of the board. The one half is you're doing everything in the space shuttle, which is get technologies, get resources, um, and then and like get you know, well, you get more workers by visiting, like getting a ship sent to Mars. But you have different actions that you can do on that side, and then there's a shuttle that moves around this track, and so at the beginning of the game, it's moving back and forth every round, and then so everything you can do on Mars is build buildings, different types of wind, solar, or no, it's wind, water, greenhouses, and mines, or and then shelters. That's how you can kind of get more workers, which will get you more to the game. But build those buildings, move your Land Rover around to pick up like technology things on Mars. Yeah, there's crystals that get placed, so you can pick those up. Crystals let you use special like free actions. You can just do so much on this game with this game, and the balance of having to go back and forth and deciding when, because as the colony levels up, like because the first one is like there's one of each already on the board, so then for the colony to advance to level 2, you need to get one of each again, so there needs to be 2 out, and then you're competing to place those, and you'll get end game victory points if you're the one who is building them. But then then the colony levels up, and then now the shuttle is going back every 2 rounds. So if you decide to go with the shuttle and you go to onto the planet, you're going to be there for 2 more rounds. So you have to kind of plan ahead and be like, okay, can I do enough for those 2 rounds? Because otherwise I'll just be wasting my turn. Same with going back onto the shuttle. And then once the colony levels up to level 3, then it's there for 3 whole rounds. And so, but by that point, you a lot more to do, and a lot more to plan. You have cards that you can construct. Those are special buildings that you can go to. I mean, anyone can go to. But if you also have a tech tree, so that you can level up, which power like to build a group of a type of building, you have to have that technology at that certain level. So it's like to build a group of 3 greenhouse tiles, you need to have a level 3 greenhouse. But what's great is you can offer a resource to another player if they have the technology. So it's not like, oh, I happen to grab the only greenhouse tile or technology, so only I can do it. It's like, no, some people can use what you have. They just have to decide to give you a resource to do it. The game is extremely heavy. It is, I mean, it makes so much thematic sense, which is what Vital does as a designer. Every single mechanism makes sense in some way or another. Like the resource, like the cycle of the different buildings make sense. It's like, okay, well, you need water to build greenhouses. You need greenhouses to build wind plants, and then you need wind plants to create to build your shelters, because you need oxygen to have people on here. It's just so good. Like, I know there's stuff that I'm missing, but man, is it a blast. And the solo mode for On Mars is also extremely good. However, I have technically only played it as a co-op. I've played with one other person, because this game is so heavy. It's a lot. It's taken a lot of playthroughs to feel comfortable with doing this, and I didn't want to play the solo mode with me trying to remember everything for my play and then remember everything that he can do. On Mars is great. I mean, you will most likely see like a lot more of his games on my list in the future. I mean, Escape Plan is a blast too, and it actually just missed it at 112.
Right.
So, and Gallerus I've only played once. I need to give that another shot, because we were playing it and I was like, this doesn't feel that good. But I think we were just expecting it to be heavy like On Mars was, and it's not. So, yeah, that's my number 46, On Mars.
All right. My number 46 has been on my list last couple times, and it made a big jump this year because I've been playing it a couple of times. And that was, it was 42 2 years ago. It was 89 last year. So
wow.
It's made a nice big jump. And that is 50.
Dang.
And like I said, it's mainly because I've played it a few times.
Okay.
There's little expansions that have come out that have added some good stuff to the solo play as well. So this game is more or less Imperial Settlers, just with a post-apocalyptic theme on it. It has the exact same mechanics and everything. Like, your faction specific stuff goes on the left, your general stuff goes on the right. Your cards can be used multi ways. You can raise a location to gain resources. You can make a deal, and where you get a resource every turn, or you can build a location that gives you, things that happen each turn. I don't mind the post-apocalyptic theme. I justify owning both of those, mainly because Imperial Settlers was the first one I played, and it has a lot more expansions and stuff to it, and more factions and stuff. This one, even though it's pretty much the exact same game, is just the theme itself just changes it up, so I can play both of them and have different deals. I wish they would come out with more faction stuff for these. They've only come out with 2 like those little box expansions for this game so far is all. But the story with this game is it was a whole nother type of game, 51st State, and then there was like 51st State Winter and all these things, and they combined them into this master set and made it more like Imperial Settlers. So it was not like an Imperial Settlers before. They just kind of took those old games, combined them, and put them into this. This is my like I like Imperial Settlers better. Spoiler. I mean, it'll be higher up, probably most likely, but this one's still good, with that theme, and the resources are different. There's like gas and all this stuff that you have for resources and stuff. It's a neat thing. I just wish they would come out with more faction stuff, because there's only 4 factions out of the box. So there's not a whole lot of stuff, but
maybe this one just didn't sell as well.
I think so, probably, most likely. Imperial Settlers is more family friendly and more approachable, I think, with the stuff. So this one could very easily fall right back down next year. It's just I've been playing it solo since the new little expansions came out and stuff. So that's why it made the jump. But yeah, 51st State, 46.
All right, good deal. My number 45 has actually fallen quite a bit. It was 20 last year and was not on the list in 2018. But still, I mean, I would imagine that the newest expansion that will come out will probably make this one go up. But as of right now, this is just 45 because there are 44 other fantastic games, and this is a phenomenal dice worker placement game, and that is on the City of Gods.
Yes.
This one is just, I mean, immaculate. I remember playing this game and I was like, huh, like, or I remember seeing it and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, like I'll just give it a shot. And then I was blown away, and then I got addicted to the Ticini T series games. Like they're all so good, and they're touched on themes that no one messes with. Like they're all some different advanced or old civilization. Like this one is the damn it.
Isn't it
It's
the
not mine.
Aztecs or
I
Incas?
think
Incas or
no.
Aztecs?
Let's see. Teotihuacan.
I think it's Aztec would be my guess.
It is okay. Well, just Mesoamerica, pre-Columbian civilizations. Great. I don't. Yeah, Aztecs. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The
Yeah.
the headdresses are what gave it away to me.
Yeah. So this one's Aztecs. The Tekhenu was Tawantinsuyu was Mayan, and then the builders of Ur is don't remember what that one's going to be for this year. So Tabanusi, builders of Ur is let's see if I can even find it real quick. Well, I can't. But anyway, they're all ancient civilizations, and this one is a solid dice worker placement game. So everyone has their own colored dice. The board has like I think 8 different sections that you can go on, and each of them do something different, like based off the level of your worker. But you're moving around in a clockwise motion, trying to either get sets of masks, go up on the dead track, or up on these 3 different tracks. One is pure victory points, the other one's cocoa, and then the other one's wild resources. Because cocoa is not a resource in this; it's gold, stone, or wood. And so you're moving up on those tracks. To the higher you up, the more points you'll get at the end of the game. As you go to new actions, like let's say you go to the quarry, and there are other people there, you have to pay a certain number of cocoa for different colored dice that are there. So the more busy it is, the heavier of the toll it is to actually go there. But if your dice are there, then the number of dice of your color that are there and the higher level will indicate how powerful of that spot that you do. So if you have 2 dice and one's a 4 and one's a 3, you'll get the 2 die column and then the 4 die row, or the 4 value row, and then that'll give you 3 stone or whatever. You can also go and worship at those locations that will let you move up on a track, but that locks the die, and then you have to have either a way to unlock it, or take an action to unlock all your dice. There's also the Big Daddy pyramid in the middle. That is a spot you can go to spend resources to build the pyramid. We have never in our games gotten that thing completed. Usually it's one person who's going for it, and one person I don't think could build it themselves. If there is a way to do it, then they're probably going to do pretty well, because at each eclipse, so a little bit similar to kind of the Rajas, was that the two tiles or the 2 tokens that have to meet. That's not how you win, but that's the way that the game, or one of the rounds, ends. And there's 3 eclipses before the game is over. But man, this game is just solid, and the late pre-classic period expansion was just a perfect because it was modular. It added a new tile or a new track that you can go up. It added individual player powers with unpronounceable god names. It added, event decks. It added weather, or not weather. It added, yeah, I think it was kind of weather. I think that was one of the modules that, let's see, Teotihuacan late pre-classic period.
I was going to be asking you what, because I see there's 2 expansions out. I was going to ask you which one was the better
late
one.
pre-classic period is the one. The Shadows of Zidal was a tiny box expansion that just added like a few technologies.
Right.
Oh yeah, there's also technologies that you can get that just are great to have, which kind of make you unique if you want to spend the gold to get them. Let's see. Yeah, asymmetrical powers, a prestigious 4th temple unlocks powerful abilities that allows you to actually kind of like move back and forth, because you only can go in one way, but there's unique ways that you can go backwards now. Let's see, engineering techniques and renewed plans for beautiful. Oh yeah, it added a new way to actually build the pyramid. But yeah, this game is just so good. Man, is it good? So
I need to play it more.
I need to try it solo. That's the one thing that I'm missing. I just did. I will be uploading Tawantin Suyu, that solo variant, and the Tekhenu solo variant, and I need to do this one as well. But yeah, this one's really good. I will say that Tekhenu did not make my list. And I think that's because I might have forgotten about it. I'll have to see. No, it actually ended up being 150.
Yeah.
So, but that one was probably more. That one might go up based off number of plays. Actually, redoing the solo variant, I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
But yeah, it was that one had a steeper. I think that one is the heaviest one that's come out. So is Tekhenu. So yeah, so Teotihuacan is my number 45. 45.
Yep. All right, my number 45 just keeps hanging on the list. I don't own it, but I have been playing a friend's copy of it when every once in a while. It was 34 2 years ago. It was 42 last year, so it's kind of hanging around the same spot.
Cool.
That's
wow.
Dang. This
what was it prior? Sorry.
No, it was 34 and then 42.
Oh, okay. So
kind of
for some reason, I mean, we talk about how fantastic this game is, and then I was like, was this higher? And it fell quite a bit. Okay.
This one of course, I never really gave Rising Sun much of a chance, and I'm kind of not sure about Ankh, but this one is still just a great game. I mean, it's the area control, the card drafting, the miniatures are awesome, of course, and all that stuff. Using that rage as currency is a really neat thing as well. This was kind of my cool mini. I'd been going through and getting like the zombie sides and stuff like that, but this and Arcadia Quest and stuff, this one was the coolest, my first cool one that came out, because this was one of my earlier Kickstarters too, because it was such a cheap Kickstarter, and you got so much crap for it, but that it plays. It's just, I just don't know. Like I like the idea of when you draft like the monsters, they're your monsters, and they come out and the whole Valhalla aspect of it, and it's an Eric Lane game. I mean, through and through. And then the expansions that they had, take or leave some of them. Some of them aren't nearly as good as others, but
I really don't like any of them. Actually,
I didn't mind the.
The Druid one. The one.
Yeah, I didn't like the Gods one. I didn't care about, but the one with the other one was fine.
Because the Druid basically you to if you drafted the card and paid for it, it allowed you to if an area was like like full, you could actually replace someone with yours. That one actually, when I first played it, I didn't like it, but then I'm like, well, no, it actually prevents people from just hoarding one spot. You're just like, oh, okay, here I am. Now this, and I can start battling. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they went a little extra mile and threw in the whatever the cards, your secret objective cards, your little deals,
Oh yeah.
extra points and stuff. It's it's just one of those things that I think that the combination of the drafting and the area control part with all the monsters and the cool stuff, it's just a neat combination of stuff, and it's hanging tight. Even though I haven't owned this game for probably 3 or 4 years now, it still hangs up here just because I still get it played every now and again, and it's a great game.
Yeah. I will never get rid of this game. I have everything for it. I got it in a
myself
suite.
for getting rid of it. Some guy gave me like $400 for my Kickstarter versions. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you can sell it for a lot, but I love owning this game. It's so good. I mean, I remember when this game came out, and it just took the hobby by storm. Everyone was like talking about Blood Rage, and I mean, still to this day, it's like, I mean, you know what I just did? I just realized the B and R are not capitalized for this title, so that's kind of bothersome. But
They're Vikings. They don't give a shit about capitalization.
That's true. It's just so good, and it's weird because I never get it played.
I know I need to play it somewhere.
But yeah, that's a good one. All right. My number 44 is new to the list, and it is Alexander Pfister's newest game that I've played anyway. I don't know if Cloud Age is available, and that is Maracaibo.
I just ordered this.
You did? Nice. Yeah. This is a fantastic one. Probably it is okay. No, it is not my favorite of his games, but if you can do process of elimination, I already mentioned Blackout Hong Kong, and then there's this one, so you can probably guess which one is my favorite of his. But this one is really, really good. Like, it does a combination around, sailing around the map, kind of in that idea of like, okay, well, I have a lot of movement. Well, I will go to this location, but you can't go back. So you can do a lot more if you go one location at a time, but eventually someone's going to get to the end, and that's going to pull everyone to one location. So it's not one of those where you can just keep going one space at a time. Eventually people will get there, then everyone starts over. What really on this game does this with his other ones, besides Blackout Hong Kong does it a little bit, but the multi-use cards that we just mentioned, man, they are heavy multi-use in this game. It is so great. Because you have cards that they have victory point values, they have a cost to them. I mean, and money is not tight in this game. You can have a bunch of money, but they have like special abilities for them. Some of them are just, hey, if you have this token, this card there now gives you 4 coins. Whenever you play it, you get to use an ability. Some of them are actually assistants that you place on the map, where it's like if you go there, you can use that ability now. And so it gives some locations, hey, normally there's nothing here, but now I can do something at that spot, which is really thematic and really cool. And then if you don't use them, like if you skip past them to go do something else, you actually get victory points. So you get kind of compensated for not touching it. But man, it's just so solid. Like, there's the 3 different what do they call them, allegiances, because you're not like, I mean, you're not part of any nation. You're not necessarily a sellsword, but for lack of a better term, that's what I'm going to say. But so you can eventually start swaying between, I think it's Britain, Spain, and France, I think are the 3. And you can move those up, like move your allegiance to kind of up, and then you'll get more victory points as they have more control. So it's like if you're on the 3rd section of Britain and they have five cubes out, well, it's basically a multiplier. So now it's 3 times 5, so that's gonna be 15 points for you. It's so good. Like I like, you're essentially kind of building a tableau of people. You are making locations unique to you, going up on the track, as well as there's a campaign. I mean, the campaign's not like stellar in any way, like you're not like blown away, but it's a legacy game without you having to manipulate the board. So I mean, there's a whole set of tiles that some might come out and some might not, a whole deck of cards that might come out and might not. The way that the game ends is you have essentially these really big high cost buildings that are really end game objectives, and each round a new one gets revealed, and so you can place your workers on that, and it's like, okay, well, I've built this now, and you'll get end game victory points. This one's so good.
What sold me on this was looking at the BGG poll about how it's highly recommended for 1 to 2 players.
I would agree. Yeah.
So the solo aspect seems like it's strong. So that was why.
Yeah. A lot of people say it's best with 3. 100 people say that. I can see that too. I think it's fantastic with 2.
Yeah.
So like you're both. I mean, because it's not a race per se, but it's a great balance, because I've always liked games where the players kind of dictate the speed, as long as the game itself can, there's enough to do. So it's like at the beginning of the game, there's not a whole lot of areas you want to go to, but you eventually you'll get to the end a lot quicker, because then more places are coming out. You will have more assistants to go to, and you're like, okay, well, now by the 3rd or 4th round, you're really kind of going slow. And but someone could just be like, well, I don't want to do any of these, and then they could just rush it, but they're not really going to benefit themselves. Another mechanism that is really great in this game is you have your own shipboard that, as you level up, like as you trade more resources, you take off these tiles onto off your ship, and that gives you either a one-time bonus or new free actions to do, or new village actions. It's solid. It's and it's really not that complex. Like I was mentioning, the intensity of On Mars, like basically if you don't want to take the time to learn a Vital Lacerda game or Vital Lacerda game, Alexander Pfister is basically great value Vital in a good way. Like his games they're for more of the masses. If you don't want it as heavy, but you definitely want a lot going on, Alexander Pfister is a designer that I am like, oh, what's he making? Yeah, I'll buy it immediately.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to trying this one out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see or to hear what you think. So that's my 44, Maracaibo.
Okay, my number 44 has been on my list for as long as I can remember. It was 32 2 years ago. It was 47 last year, so it jumped up a couple of spots.
Neat.
And that's above and below.
Nice.
This one at current time is my super high favorite of the 2. The Near and Far I did not care for. This one I enjoy a lot. There's the 3rd one that was announced. I can't think of the name of it now.
Now or Never.
Now or Never, which I'm intrigued to see where they go. After looking at Rado's stuff and seeing his screenshots of different stuff, it looks pretty intriguing. So I'm curious to see how it goes. This one was kind of the first in that it is the first in that series, but pretty much what you're doing is you're building your village. You're going to be building above ground. You can build below ground. You're going to have workers that you'll be spending to do different things, gathering resources and such. You can go on adventures, which that's the only drawback to this that I think they did better in Near and Far, is that the stories are a little more in depth in Near and Far.
They connect. Like you can go on a different map, and it's just like, oh, if you have keyword happy, then whatever, then this happens.
So that that's one thing that could be a little bit better. But as far as this is an easier game just to put down on the table and go with if you're playing with new players or family or whatever. But you have to maintain your workers because they get tight, like exhausted, and then you have to let them rest up and do different stuff. There's set collection in it where you're gathering all these cards and you're trying to gather these. The bigger the set you have, the more points and all that jazz. There's I even went through and bought the BGG Geek Bits for it that has the nice solid resource tokens and all that stuff for it.
Yeah. Yep. Nice.
And I was glad they came out in the Near and Far campaign with another storybook for this. The
expansions that were like missing forever.
Yeah, so those were nice to get the extra content and stuff. This one just fit my style better than Near and Far. I wanted to like Near and Far. It was just there was a couple of things that messed with me that time, and I needed to try some of the other game modes of that one as well.
Yeah, I agree. I was right there with you with Near and Far. The campaign left a really sour taste in my mouth because it's like what makes Above and Below and Near and Far so great are those story elements and the atmosphere, because it's its own world that all of his games are connected in some way, which I think is brilliant. And that's what makes the games really fun, at least for me. But the campaign was, whoever has most points by the end wins. And so it's like, people are like, trade routes?
Build a tent.
Yeah, quickly build a tent, and then like try and, build the your hand as quickly as possible. And it's like, you don't want to, I mean, you're right next to an exploration token. No, fuck you. Fuck the world. I just want to build all this. And I'm like, yeah. But
yeah,
I would
like
highly
this
recommend.
one. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say I would highly recommend that just play it again and just do the casual. I think it's called character mode.
Yeah.
And just play it every now and then, and just because it's not going to be as tense as trying to.
Well, here's what's going to get me to do that. If Now or Never looks good enough for me to get, then I'm going to want get it. Then I'm going to want to have all three of them just because they're all connected. So that'll be what gets me. That there's something about the simplicity of Above and Below is why I mean just how it looks when you get it all your village built and just stuff like that. It's just it just looks good on the table and everything. So that's why it kind of hangs around here. I'm excited to see what the new one is going to be like and just see how it kind of,
because it's not even, I don't even think it really has a BGG. Oh, it is right there. Now or Never 2021.
And I don't think, like you said, I don't think it's kickstarting either. So
that's what Rado said. That's what Rado said. Ryan said, but I'm subscribed to like a Kickstarter forums on Board Game Geek, and someone added it there. So maybe they're just assuming that it's going to be. I mean, it says, choose one of 4 asymmetrical characters to play. Rebuild the village so that returning villagers have a place to live. Interact with other players by hiring their specialists to perform special actions, combat dangerous creatures, explore fantasy landscape filled with bizarre places, technology, and peoples. 2 modes to play, standard and story. Story mode, you read from a storybook, and each character has their own set of stories. So, yeah, I mean, it might be a heavier worker placement idea in Now or Never. So it's
they should have put and.
Huh?
They should have put and.
I know. The name is so stupid. Come on, Ryan, really? Because I don't think any of these connect. Like they're not like you don't need to play Above and Below to play.
Oh no, I don't think they physically connect, but I think their story of all 3.
Yeah,
there's an umbrella story line, but I don't think you don't have to.
So I mean, asymmetrical powers are great, especially with unique stories. I mean, with combat and rebuilding a village, that's gonna be interesting. I mean, there's 0 pictures or anything. So if you want to see pictures, go check out Rado's top 25 anticipated list. We had it covered, which looked really good. So
Yep.
yeah, this is a good one. It is, where is it for me on my list? Well, I can't find it. So maybe I just skimmed past it. Right. It was 132.
Yeah.
And Near and Far was 128. So they were right next to each other pretty much. Didn't quite make the list, but they're there. They're definitely considered, and I do like playing them. Yeah, because you and we were like, fuck Near and Far. At least I was very pissed.
Near and Far,
I got over it.
Stuff.
I got over it. If you play it casually, it's a lot of fun. So
yeah.
All right. My number 43 was 15 in 2019. It has fallen quite a bit. That was just due to lack of play, even though I have played this game recently with 6 people, and it was not great. But the game is fantastic with 4, in my opinion, and that is Nemesis. Another Awakened Realms games, Alien, the board game. It's I mean, this one took me by surprise because of it's a semi-cooperative or potentially semi-cooperative game where you are on a ship, you awaken, and you find one of your crewmates dead from some unknown creature. And it's weird because the setup of the game is all the tiles are random. And you have level 1s and level 2s, but then it's like, wait, this is our ship. Why do we not know where certain things are? But it is what it is. I just assume that everyone's playing in turns.
Or that you wake up out of your sleep, feel all confused.
Sure. Yeah, it's like, oh god, okay, where was the shower again? But I think that's just for replayability. Anyway, so you're exploring the ship, and as you're exploring, you're making noise, so you have to roll for noise, and then eventually a intruder shows up. I mean, with other expansions, it's different types of aliens, but the intruders are from the base game. They're literally xenomorphs, and whenever that happens, then everyone has 2 objectives: a personal objective and like a corporate objective, and those are where players will decide which one they want to go for. And the personal objective is typically like, okay, you want to make sure that the Earth or that the ship gets to Earth, and you want to survive. Or a corporate one might be like, hey, you need an alien egg, and to ensure that player 3 doesn't live. And so that's where it becomes semi-cooperative, because it's one of those things where it's like, if the ship gets too many fire tokens, and it blows up. If it gets too many malfunction tokens, the ship blows up. If the ship doesn't go to Mars, or it doesn't go to Earth, it goes to Mars. Well, everyone they didn't complete their objective. So everyone's trying to do their own thing, which can make them work together or not. And I think it actually balances out really well. The great thing about this game is the fact that you cannot directly kill someone. So if you have to make sure that player 3 doesn't live, well, you can't directly shoot them with your gun. But let's say the queen shows up, and you just happen to have a card that lets you shut a door, because you can only open and close doors through card actions. And it's like, oh well, look at that. Sorry, I didn't mean to play that. So then they're trapped in there with the queen, and then that's a way that they can potentially die. This game is so good. If it matches the alien theme so well, like you can get little face huggers. They're called, I don't remember what they're called, which then can infect you, and then you'll be drawing infection cards, and those will get shuffled into your deck, and then eventually you can go to certain locations and then scan those, and I don't know what that's called, but like the red, it's like jumbled and you can't read it, and you put it in that red film.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called either.
And that'll tell you if it's infected or not. And if it is, that sucks. You need to figure out a way to stop that. But it's just there's so much going on. The card play is extremely solid. That your cards have special abilities on them, but to move you have to burn a card. So you have hand management with what you're wanting to do, and each faction, each character has their own unique deck. So the captain can do a certain action a little bit better. Engineer can fix malfunction tokens way better. There's a scientist. I mean, it's so much fun. I will say the reason why I wasn't great with 6 is because the concept of the game is exploration, or some of it, at least for me, is exploring the ship and finding where places are. And with 6 people, it expanded really quick. And the game is still, it's long. Like at the end of everyone's turn or the round, then a track moves. So it starts at like 15, and it doesn't, the escape pods and stuff don't activate until like 8 or something. So it just went on long for my taste. But other than that, like, this is, if you love the Alien movies, there you go. This will do exactly that, and be an awesome semi-cooperative experience. So that's my number 43, Nemesis.
If this was a solo, had a solo aspect, I might consider it. But the semi-cooperative part seems to be like the best part of it, so it wouldn't work too well.
I think it is. It does have a solo mode.
I just don't know if it, because having that hidden stuff is would be the intriguing part to me.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, some negatives for some people might be the player elimination. Like, once your character is dead, he is dead, and but they have a mode where you can then play as the aliens. I haven't tried that. That just seems dumb. So, and I mean, like I said, if your objective is to have someone die, you don't need to be the one to kill them. If they just happen to die, then it's like, oh, great, look at that.
There you go. Yeah.
I didn't have to be malicious. The aliens killed them. So
right.
43, Nemesis.
All right. Well, my number 43 was 56 2 years ago. It dropped to 77 last year, mainly because I hadn't owned it for a couple of years, hadn't played it. I reacquired it. So now it's up to 43, and that is Defenders of the Realm.
Gotcha. Yep.
Nice. This is a nostalgia board game, if there ever was one, just because of the old 80s D&D arts and all that stuff that I like. This one is it's like, it's almost in a weird, it's like a tower defense game in a way. I mean, because you're protecting is it Monarch City? I think that's the name of it.
Remember the castle.
You're protecting that area, and there are 4 bosses that are out on the board, and they have their minions, and they're all kind of moving towards the castle, and you're having to bounce around the countryside, taking out the minions, trying to power yourself up enough so that you can go after the bosses, who are generally pretty hard to kill.
Yes. Especially the dragons, the dragon expansion. Yes. It's just like, all right, we're playing with the dragon expansion, and we lost. All right, so go ahead. We didn't even need to play.
So you just have to chuck dice to try to kill those guys. But what the cool thing is once you kill one of the bosses, then you get you're powered, where you can just wipe out the minions. And I mean, it's this has pandemic stuff on it, sadly.
Oh, shut up. I don't want to hear it anymore.
But anyway, because it has the whole taint, where if you get the land gets tainted, enough taint gets on land or minions, it's the minions that burst, causing the taint to be dropped. But I think the thing that's really cool about this, I mean, the board is kind of a mess. The art's kind of off on it and stuff, but I love, because I have all the hero packs. They have such unique heroes that you can do with all the abilities. It plays great solo, because you can play.
Like, they have the warrior, the wizard, the ranger, the hobbit, and the big boob chick over on the right.
Right.
So that's pretty unique.
Well, right, but then they have like the Eagle Rider, and they have
Yeah,
the
the expansions
oh
added
yeah.
unique ones.
And I think there's more female characters than male characters.
Or
But
yeah, if there's not, then there's a good
yeah.
combination. Mhm.
But this is one, I got rid of it a long time ago, and I was waiting for the second edition Kickstarter to come out, and then when they decided, hey, we're not going to do that, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, so I had to go out and find this again and get it bought. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid, like I said, nostalgia game. It's the art, I love the art that's on there. A lot of people don't.
It's
The
just
hardest,
older. I
yeah,
mean,
the hardest thing about this game though, and it's not as big of an issue now since I've played it a ton of times, is a lot of on the board, like the names of the locations are kind of weird with where
yeah,
they're at on the board, like they don't match up with the color you would expect them to, with different
right.
stuff. But once you kind of know where the stuff is, you just go from there. I mean, it's a really cool, fun time to be had. It plays, like I said, it plays really well solo, but this is one of those that it's funner if you have more people playing, just because it's those dice rolls and stuff can just be brutal and
Yeah,
pretty funny
yeah,
sometimes. But yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
my
mean, the
43.
artwork doesn't bother me. It's definitely I mean, this game came out 11 years ago, and it's definitely old fantasy art, which it's not my favorite. However, I respect and appreciate it, like more.
Yeah,
But yeah, this
yeah, and
oh,
this
did
one
not
will be
know.
one that will it'll always be on my list just because of the nostalgia of it. But there's a new version with a different theme of this kind of coming out with the Freedom 5. Uh,
Yep.
that is probably going to jump ahead of this, just
Hmm.
because if I mean, hopefully it's as
Yeah,
good as
you're
what
right.
I'm
That's
dropping
what it
enough. We're
seems.
dropping enough money on it. It better be better than this. Um,
You are correct.
but uh, but yeah. So Defenders of the Realm, it's just a great oldie.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I agree. That's a fun one. All right. My number 42 is my last new one for the list and ended up surprising me quite a bit on how high it was, but it card games. Card games, man, just are just doing it for me. This is probably the one that has the original
Oh,
box art.
okay.
So we can go ahead and move ahead. So Enchanters, specifically, I mean Enchanters Overlords, like it's really just a standalone expansion that just added more cards. But Enchanters is such a fun game. Like this is a game where you are trying to I mean you're trying to kill the most monsters and protect your kingdom, which it happens to be. How it works is you have your kingdom that has a special ability, and there's a track. And on excuse me, on your turn, you can either acquire an coming down that track, and eventually monsters will be coming down to fight them. But you are essentially making a pair of really cool combinations of items. So basically, you have the item and some type of enchantment on it. So with really fun, this game is they really went far with the flavor text. It's whimsical and comedic, but you like could have a sword of blood. I don't fucking know, but the titles make interesting combinations, and they allow you to do certain things as well as give you higher defense or higher attack. Uh, and the overlords really just added a overlord, like someone that you can actively go out and fight. So like a big bad guy.
Right.
Um, but like you can have combinations. Oh man, these pictures suck. Like a short sword of thieves or a buckler of regeneration. Um, that will give you a unique combination that will hopefully let you start killing some monsters because you'll have a monster deck. Like I said, the overlords have special abilities. If basically if like a monster, like if you don't kill a monster in time, then and it hits your city, then the overlord has a minion monster ability, and then there are dragons that come out, and if dragons hit them, it does an even worse ability. But the reason why this is so high on my list, besides the fun, somewhat cutthroat nature, because you can like remove people's like enchantments, you can remove some of their monsters, you can give them damage, and then if they accrue 10 damage tokens, they take a wound card, which is a pretty debilitating disability. But the reason why this is so high does that modular deck or that smash up idea where you take I think you take a number of factions equal to the number of players and you shuffle them into that deck. So I mean, I couldn't even let's see the base game. So this picture doesn't even say what it comes with. No, it doesn't. But there's so many. There's unicorns, goblins, thieves, bandits, gladiators, mages, all different factions that all have a unique theme to them. Like the thieves are all about getting money. So and you can get points for I think there's a genie. He gives you a point at the end of the game for each every 5 set of rubies you have or 5 set of coins, and you just take 3 of those and or if you're playing with 3 and you just shuffle them into the deck, and that's what's going to be coming out that round. So the high variety of this game is just amazing, and I really like it. So that's my number 42, Enchanters Overlords.
I was gonna back that last Kickstarter, the Odyssey one, but because it looked like it had a little bit of a solo deal, but everything else, none of it's soloable, so I ended up passing.
Gotcha. Yeah, the Enchanters Odyssey adds like Greek factions, right. And Mythic Games is actually helping them with that, because the company is Gindi. Yeah, I mean, I think this is all they've made to my knowledge. But there is a picture on here. Yeah, so there's fairies, barbarians, harpies, medusae, centaurs, mermaids, demons. Like there's so many just unique factions that can be thrown in. But yeah, the Odyssey Mythic Games actually helping them design it. So
I'd be willing to try this one out. I like my card games.
Right. Yeah, I think you would like this one quite a bit. So I will put that on the list.
All right. So, are you done with that one?
Yes, I am. So,
okay.
I apologize. Fuck off. No, I'm actually going to keep talking about it.
My number 42 is one that I think you liked as well. I'm pretty sure you do. I don't know if it's on your top 100 or not, but it was 27 2 years ago. It was 32 last year, so it dropped 10 spots. And it is my favorite dice placement game, or maybe my favorite, can't remember.
Oh wow.
Wow. This one is
that to be.
I love this game. Like this is one of me and my wife's favorites. It's a 2007 game initially.
It was my 190.
Okay. This one, I don't know if it's my favorite dice placement. I'd have to look down my list, but was one of the first ones I played.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much the fact that there's a whole board from 1 to 18. You have 3 faction dice, and you roll the dice, and then when it's your turn, we're going to place those dice and try to influence one of those people from the kingdom. With the king being the 18, the queen's 17, so on. When you influence them, you gain resources, or you get to maybe peek at the monsters that are going to be attacking at the end of the season, or just different odds and ends. But you get to choose when you place your dice how many dice you want to put down on that turn. You may want to put a 2 and a 5 down on the 7.
Yep.
And then move, or you could put all three of your dice on one. But if you do that, then other people can kind of nickel and dime with their dices and pick up stuff. So pretty much how it goes is you're playing through, was it 4 or 5 years?
5 years,
5 years, yeah.
Eras.
So you go through seasons, and when you start, you'll just get different points. There's this whole track that goes through and stuff, and you'll have there's different building phases onto a couple of seasons. So at those points, you'll get to use your resources, and you'll have your city in front of you. You're part of the city, and then you get to build different aspects, and it's like a tech tree in a way where you can't build past a certain thing until you build the thing in front of it. And those will help you either defend against the monster thing at the end or whatever. But pretty much what happens is at the very, very end of each year, your kingdom is going to be attacked by something. And if you beat it, then you get a reward. If you don't, then you have to suffer the consequences, which could be destroy your highest cost building. It could be lose resources, victory points, whatever. And you go through and do that, and those get increasingly stronger each year. So, this is one of those games that having the to build a realm expansion to forge a realm is a necessity. If you buy the new version, it's included in the box, but it adds more variety to your city to build. It's modular, of course, which we've talked about how modular is such a good thing. It brings in the events, which is kind of funny because there's in the stack of events, there's the king is sick. And if you pull the second king is sick card, then he dies and the game just ends.
The game's over.
That's only ever happened once in all the times I've played this game. But,
nice.
But
it's like, oh no.
Yeah, there's even like starting player power cards and stuff. So you could choose and pick out that. I think the biggest variety of that though is the different deals for your city building to make it a little different.
I agree.
But anyway, this is the classic. It's just one of those games that, especially the old version, I think the old version looks so much better on the table. The new version's art is just wrong. But yeah, I mean, this is a great game. It's not overly complex. It's not overly simple. It's just, it kind of fits right there in the middle of stuff, and it's just a fun game overall. I mean, and the games don't take that long either. You just kind of go through and just start to finish. It's not a very long game at all.
Right. I'm just looking at the second edition artwork, and really whoever was the artist for this, basically he only knew 2 colors. He knew brown and gray. Yeah. And that's it.
Well,
and
go ahead.
It's ugly. The layout of the board is ugly.
I know. And the thing that irritates me is, being the completionist that I am, they came out with this second edition that had the expansion with it, which I already have all that, but they added just a couple of extra cards that you don't have with the first. I'm like, God damn you.
Yeah, but then you'd have to buy this hideous looking game.
Yeah, so what I have is good enough, and it's a great game that just stands the test of time.
Yeah,
so.
I completely agree. It's funny because I actually just played this not too long ago because I was sitting there. It's been in my collection forever, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play this and see if I still like it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Very simple game with unique choices, and while they don't have quite dice mitigation, like in terms of rerolls, you can build certain buildings that will let you do that, but you can get those tokens that give you a +2. So that gives you some variation. So it's not like someone takes a spot and you're just like, well, I can't do anything.
Well, and then there's the catch-up mechanic too, that has where you if you're behind, you get the extra white dice.
Yeah,
you'll have 4 dice instead of 3.
Yep, if you have less buildings, I think you get the envoy.
Where you can build 2 or
token,
or you can play. You can make it let you build 2 things during the building phase instead of 1, or you can put dice where somebody else has put dice. It's kind of a neat little,
which is nice.
Little deal.
I would say the only negative I have really is that the monsters at the end the reward for beating them or even the penalty for losing them really doesn't matter. Like you beat it and it's like a point, and you're like, okay, like why they even bother?
Yeah.
And because you also roll a die at the end for the king's troops, so it's like you really don't have to get that high on the military track to potentially kill them.
Well, and I don't like that. Like that's one of the other modules of the expansion that I do. I don't even do we do the little chips that you can add to your military because then people are guessing different things because it's hard to catch up. You know, like because you will roll a dice for the king's military, and if everybody gets 6, then there's no way of really passing them. So I like using those tokens that are like 0 to 4 because because the ones you don't use, those are points that you get to add at the very end.
Gotcha.
Of your score too.
Right.
So you know,
I forgot about that.
It makes it a little more variable.
True.
So.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. All right. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying. I was going to say this is my 42.
Are you done with this one? Can I move on?
Hell no, I'm not done.
Let's keep shit second edition. That's fun.
Let's see the Celtic score.
Mario Barbad and there were 3 artists, so maybe they just all couldn't agree. What 2 of them went in color, but one of them was like, "No, it's old fantasy, so it needs to look like shit."
Yeah.
They just threw shit out on the street, so I'm gonna throw shit on this box. All right. My number 41 and the last one for this segment is one that has been since added to the list of games for you to try because I guarantee you will fall in love with it just as I have. In 2019, it was 25, and in 2018, it was 19. So it has fallen quite a bit, and the reason is just we don't get it to the table.
Right.
It's fantastic, and there's a new expansion coming out this year, and that is War of the Rings, second edition. Here's the thing. That collector's edition you sent me, I almost pulled the trigger on it.
I wondered.
I was so close. The guy was actually, I wasn't going to draw, I can't remember how much it was, like $2,000 or something. The guy was actually going to set up like new payments. Like I was going to make payments to him for it. And he was like, well, I'm not going to send it to you till you finish it. I'm like, yeah, I totally get all that. I had to do that when I sold all my KDM stuff. But I think he ended up finding someone who had the money then and there.
Right.
And of course, I would have taken it as well. But War of the Ring is so good. It encapsulates that trilogy like to a T. It is vastly superior than Battle of Five Armies. This one is just so good. If you don't know, one person plays the Shadow Army, and then the other person plays the I don't know what that was.
My phone made a noise. Sorry.
The other person plays the Free Peoples, and it's one of those games where the Free Peoples have a limited army. So as they start losing people, then their army dwindles. Where the Shadow Army doesn't. They constantly have reinforcements, but the main, like the Shadow Army has to control 10 points of control points, whereas the Free Peoples only have to control 4. So that's one of the balancing aspects. And the second one is that there is the Fellowship, and they are moving secretly through the land trying to get to Mount Doom. And then once they get to Mount Doom, there's a little like corruption kind of thing as Frodo moves up to drop the ring. The thing that I love about this game is it's basically kind of like a what if scenario. You can imagine, okay, well, what if Legolas didn't stay with the Fellowship for as long? What if he left and went to go help the elves in Lothlorien or in Mirkwood? What if it stayed with just the hobbits? What if they didn't go through Moria? Each side has like leaders, like pretty big leaders. Of course, the Free Peoples have the Fellowship, but there's also, with one of the expansions, unique factions like the Eagles, the Treants, and the Ghosts of Gondor. And they could all be manipulated and moved a certain section. So you could also be like, well, what if the ghost went and helped out at Isengard or whatever. But the Shadow Army has the spiders, the skanky people. They were actually in the movies, but them and then no, well yes, but no, the actual people like
those nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy. Just him. He's the only one there. I always forget one of the other factions that the Shadow Army gets. But then other expansions add even more people, like Elrond for the Free Peoples. And man, it is just, at the bottom it says epic battles, and it is truly epic. And I mean, a lot of people give this game a hard time for its political track, like the fact that the Free People can't just go out to war until they basically are attacked first. Like if I attack Gondor with a Shadow Army, then they're immediately at war. Otherwise, you have to have ways to instigate them. Mm-hmm. But I think that just adds even more strategy and threat to the game and theme, because it's like the dwarves are all up in the north, and they're like, okay, like it's happening way down south in Gondor. Who gives a fuck what happens to them? But then you can actually have Gimli leave and then go talk and then get them ready and then move them down the track, and then now you start moving the dwarves into battle. It's so much fun. It does the system where you have a certain number of dice that you can roll, and the more leaders that you have, you get more dice. So you roll those, and those are what's going to be the actions that you can do that turn. And I mean, the stress of the Free Peoples is the fact that you can lose if corrupted. And so it's like, so the Shadow Army can allocate dice to try and search for him, but that means he's doing less with his armies. It's card based as well. You have a combat deck and then a non-combat deck. It's fantastic. I mean, man, it's just so good, and they're still supporting it. The Kings of Middle Earth expansion. Yeah, I did too. And so, I mean, they have the what are they called? War of the Ring. Let's see if I can find. And this came out in 2012. So for the past 9 years, they've still been supporting it. Yeah, so they have the Lords of Middle Earth, which adds first expansion. Yep. Important personalities previously featured in the game only through event cards are now specific figures. So new characters include Elrond, Galadriel, Smeagol, Gothmog, and the powerful Balrog of Moria, as well as alternate versions of Gandalf, the Witch King, and the Mouth of Sauron. It's also had new action dice. So that's Lords of Middle Earth. And then there is the Warriors of Middle Earth, which is an expansion that came out in 2016, which adds Ents, Dead Men of Dunharrow, and the Great Eagles of the Misty Mountains. Those are the three for the Free Peoples. Gotcha. And then the Corsairs of Umbar, Wild Hillmen of Dunland, and the Giant Spiders. So those three factions for the Shadow faction. The Corsairs of Umbar, they were the ships. And then the new Kings of Middle Earth, coming out in 2021. So they've spaced them out pretty like every 5 years. Sounds like 2012 for the first one, 2016, and then 2021. It looks like the ads, where was it? New figures: Theoden, Denethor, Dane, Brand, and Thranduil, and then new units for the Shadow Armies. So I love this game. And then the fact that you can pair it with Hunt for the Ring is super cool. So that's my 41, War of the Ring.
All right. I look forward to playing it sometime.
Yep, right.
All right. So my 41 is new to the list. It's not a brand new 2020 game, but it's new to me.
Okay.
And that is, why is it not moving? There it is.
Oh, wow.
Oplamachus. Now, I put the Rise of Rome on here. It could be any of them. It could be the Lost Cities or...
It's like a video game.
Yeah, the This was like one of their very, very first Kickstarters. So it's like
Okay.
the art's kind of was weird on the box cover and stuff. The art inside the game is better. But
Yeah, there's like an old school computer game from like the early 2000s.
yeah. This is, the chip theory stuff. I mean, it's all chips. It's all, you got your dice, you've got neoprene mats and all that stuff. It's just top notch quality. This one is, man, I just don't know. It's so good because you can there's these different civilizations that you get to control. They come out with a couple of extras like the Machu Picchu and Carthage, but then you have all these other groups, and you make up a team of them, and you can battle one-on-one or whatever. The solo version is kind of cool, because there's objectives, there's different things that you are trying to accomplish.
Gotcha.
And you get to pick like your gladiators, your big guys, and you get to pick some peons that go out there. There's some of the setups have animals that'll be out there on the deal. It's just one of those things that I've gotten to where I've been playing it a lot solo. And after playing, I got this after Too Many Bones. So Too Many Bones kind of got me into it, which made this even easier to learn because Too Many Bones is a slog.
Sure.
And you still have your whole stack of chips. Your health is underneath your character, and you have any upgrades or additions with weapons and stuff go under that. And you're going and you're just battling it out on a hex grid, and trying to be the last one alive. The Origins box was a really good starting point. Like if you wanted just to get one, just to go with it, the Origins is kind of a more simplistic version. The thing that's different that I like about this is when you think about Too Many Bones, you have, your battle area is just a small square of stuff. These Hoplomachus maps are huge. It's like a big mat that goes out, sprawling mat, and you have these the gladiators and all that craziness. And it's just, this is, take the box art away, the art inside is much better. But this was a good entry point with chip theory games. It kind of got them into this whole deal. And they've really taken off since. But yeah, it's a top-notch game. It's 1v1 is probably its strongest point.
Okay.
The solo though is very, very good.
Yeah, that's so same thing as Cloudspire, 1v1 or solo.
Right. Okay. And then with the new Kickstarter that's going to be coming out this year, the Victorum, it sounds like it's going to be a story-driven independent game of this stuff. So, which is exciting because I was thinking it was going to replace a lot of this stuff. So Hoplomachus, Rise of Rome. It's a really good one. I think you would enjoy it, especially since you've played Cloudspire and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited to try the new one. Like that was on the anticipated of 2021. So I mean, I like chip theory games. Once I get all my Too Many Bones stuff, I'm excited to try that. I hope I like that.
I hope you do too.
Cloudspire is a fantastic game as well. So awesome. So that was it for this segment, everyone. Next one, of course, will be 40 through 31, and then we're just going to inch closer and closer to our top 10. I hope you have been enjoying the series. Lots of fantastic games that we have been talking about. So stick around for the rest of it to see what other great games we will mention. Let us know what you think of these ones in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.